Imagine a world without the roar of machinery, without the guiding lines of computer models, without the towering cranes that define our modern skylines. This was the reality for the builders of antiquity, yet they left behind monuments so grand and so precise that they continue to baffle the brightest minds of our own technologically advanced era. It is a humbling thought that across the silent stretches of time, our ancestors achieved what seems, from our perspective, nearly impossible. The writer L.P. Hartley once noted that the past is a foreign country, a place where they do things differently, and standing before these ancient stones, we are all travelers in that distant land, trying to decipher a language of construction we have forgotten how to speak. These are not merely old buildings, they are puzzles carved in stone, enigmas set against the horizon that challenge the very narrative of human progress. Why should we care about these structures, some might ask? The answer lies in the profound mystery they represent. They are evidence of a lost knowledge, a sophisticated understanding of engineering, mathematics, and astronomy that seems to have vanished from the world. Each perfectly fitted block, each alignment with a distant star, pushes the boundaries of what we believe was possible with the tools and resources we assume they had. To study them is to confront the tantalizing possibility that history's timeline is not a simple, straight line of advancement, but a complex story with entire chapters missing, waiting to be rediscovered. So today, we embark on a journey to explore 25 of these architectural marvels, whose building techniques we simply no longer understand. We will travel across continents and millennia, from the cyclopean walls of highland Peru to the laser-like precision of stones in ancient Egypt. We will stand before colossal heads on a remote island and descend into underground cities carved from solid rock. This is more than a tour of ancient sites. It is an investigation into the gaps of our historical record, a quest to understand the ingenuity of those who came before us. As we uncover the secrets locked within these silent, majestic structures, prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the capabilities of ancient civilizations. The journey begins now with the most iconic mystery of them all. Picture the Great Pyramid of Giza at dawn. The first rays of the sun catch its peak, casting long shadows across the sands, a sight that has inspired awe and relentless curiosity for thousands of years. Built for the pharaoh Khufu around 2580 to 2560 before the Common Era, it is the sole surviving structure from the original 7 wonders of the ancient world. Its endurance is a testament not just to its robust construction, but to the sheer impossibility of its creation, a puzzle that begins with the most basic of questions. How does one move a mountain block by block? The pyramid is composed of an estimated 2.3 million limestone blocks, with an average weight of 2.5 tons each. That is the equivalent of stacking over 300,000 full-grown elephants. Yet some of the blocks, particularly the granite beams in the king's chamber, weigh a staggering 80 tons. To put that into perspective, that is heavier than a modern main battle tank. The quarries for this stone were not next door. The fine white limestone casing came from across the Nile, and the granite was sourced from Aswan, over 500 miles to the south. The logistics of cutting these stones from the earth with copper chisels and dolerite ball hammers, loading them onto wooden sleds, and ferrying them along the river is a feat of coordination that would challenge a modern project manager with all our technology. But the real mystery intensifies when we consider the ascent. How were these massive stones lifted and placed with such breathtaking precision, rising to an original height of over 480 feet? The most widely accepted theory involves the use of massive ramps. Some researchers propose a single, long, straight ramp built up from the desert floor. Others suggest a ramp that spiraled around the growing structure like a ribbon. There is even a theory of an internal spiral ramp, hidden within the pyramid's core. Each idea has its merits, but each also encounters significant problems. A straight ramp would have required an immense volume of material, nearly as much as the pyramid itself, and would have become impossibly long and shallow for the upper courses. A spiral ramp would have left awkward corners at the edges that are difficult to maneuver with multi-ton blocks. The truth is, no single ramp theory perfectly solves the puzzle, leaving room for speculation about more advanced, lost lifting mechanisms involving counterweights or lever systems that have left no trace in the archaeological record. Beyond the how of its assembly lies the even more baffling question of its precision. The base of the Great Pyramid is almost a perfect square, with sides that are level to within less than an inch. Its four sides are aligned with the four cardinal directions with an error of only a fraction of a degree, an accuracy that would require sophisticated knowledge of astronomy and geometry. The pyramid's dimensions even seem to encode mathematical relationships like the ratio of pi, the relationship between a circle's circumference and its diameter. This level of sophistication seems almost anachronistic, as if it were placed there by a civilization far more advanced than the simple tools of the Old Kingdom would suggest. So, does the perfection of the Great Pyramid point to a sophistication we have yet to fully comprehend? It forces us to confront the possibility that the ancient Egyptians possessed a depth of knowledge, particularly in practical engineering and applied mathematics, that was so advanced it has been lost to the sands of time. It stands as a silent, stone reminder that our understanding of the past is incomplete, making it the undeniable and perfect starting point for our journey into the unknown. From the sun-baked sands of Egypt, we travel high into the thin, crisp air of the Andes Mountains in Bolivia to a site that shatters conventional understanding. Picture a windswept plateau over 12,000 feet above sea level, littered with the shattered remains of what was once a grand and impossible structure. This is Pumapunku, a part of the ancient Tiwanaku complex, and it presents a mystery that feels almost science fiction in its nature. The stonework here does not look ancient. Instead, the andesite and sandstone blocks appear as if they were crafted with tools far beyond their time, scattered across the ground like pieces of a colossal, intricate puzzle broken apart by a cataclysm. What makes these stones so extraordinary is their finish. The surfaces are not merely smooth, they are flawlessly polished to a degree that feels machined, as if they came off a modern factory floor. The edges are razor-sharp, meeting at perfect 90-degree angles with a consistency that is simply unnerving. But the true marvel lies in the complexity of the cuts. Many of the blocks are fashioned into precise H shapes, with a series of exacting grooves and notches designed to interlock with other stones, fitting together without a single drop of mortar. This is not simple stacking. This is a form of ancient, precise engineering, a stone masonry technique that created a structure of immense stability and strength. Some of these interlocking channels are so geometrically complex that replicating them today would require advanced machinery and computer-guided design. The questions only multiply when we consider the material itself. Andesite is an incredibly hard volcanic rock, far tougher than the limestone used in Egypt. The conventional explanation suggests the Tiwanaku people, who built this around 500 to 600 years after year zero, used stone tools to work this rock. Yet the idea of achieving such mirror-like surfaces and mathematically perfect angles using only pounding stones or crude chisels seems almost unthinkable. Furthermore, the quarries for these stones were not local. They were located many miles away across difficult terrain. The transportation of these multi-ton, meticulously crafted blocks to this high-altitude site is a logistical nightmare that lacks any clear explanation, especially for a culture that, as far as we know, had not invented the wheel or had access to draft animals. Pumapunku forces us to confront a deeply uncomfortable idea for our standard view of history. It challenges the very narrative of linear technological progress, the comforting story that we are always moving forward. This site stands as a stark and silent monument to a different possibility, hinting at a cycle of discovery, mastery, and finally, loss. It suggests that a forgotten culture may have possessed a method of stoneworking, a technique or even a technology that has since vanished from human knowledge entirely, leaving behind these impossibly precise blocks as the only clues to their incredible skill. From the shattered, laser-like precision of Pumapunku, we journey not far in distance but into a completely different style of architectural enigma. High in the Peruvian Andes, overlooking the ancient Incan capital of Cusco, sits Sacsayhuamán. This is not a site of scattered, intricate puzzle pieces, but one of overwhelming, consolidated power. Its defining feature is a series of 3 zigzagging, terraced walls built from stones so colossal they seem to belong to the realm of giants. The largest of these limestone blocks is a behemoth estimated to weigh 120 tons, roughly equivalent to 70 modern cars. And yet, the sheer mass of these stones is not the most baffling aspect. It is the impossible way they are put together. The masonry of Sacsayhuamán is a masterclass in stone fitting. Each massive block, often with as many as 12 distinct sides, is carved to interlock perfectly with its neighbors in a complex, 3-dimensional jigsaw pattern. The joints are so phenomenally tight, so exquisitely precise, that it is famously said not even the blade of a razor can be inserted between them. This wasn't just for show. This intricate locking technique, combined with the slight inward incline of the walls, created a structure of incredible seismic resilience. For centuries, it has withstood powerful earthquakes that have toppled much younger Spanish colonial buildings in the valley below. The walls simply sway and settle back into place, their complex geometry absorbing the energy. This leads us to the great puzzle of Sacsayhuamán. How did the Incas, a civilization that did not use the wheel, had no draft animals stronger than a llama, and possessed only bronze tools, achieve this? The quarries for these stones were located miles away across rugged and steep terrain. The most persistent and tantalizing legend speaks of a mysterious plant-based liquid. The story goes that the Incas discovered a particular herb or sap that, when applied to the stone, would temporarily soften the rock, allowing it to be shaped and molded almost like clay. Once the liquid evaporated, the stone would re-harden to its original toughness. While this is a captivating idea, no such plant has ever been identified, and no archaeological evidence has been found to support this theory. Without this mythical solution, we are left with the image of countless workers patiently grinding stone against stone using sand and water, a process almost unimaginable for blocks of such scale and number. The movement of these titans up the mountainside remains a profound mystery, suggesting a lost knowledge of leverage, rope systems, and mass organization that we can scarcely comprehend. From the colossal, earthquake-defying walls of Sacsayhuamán, we journey to the sun-baked quarries of Egypt, where a different kind of stone-working mystery stands in silent, monumental testimony. The ancient Egyptians did not just build with massive stones, they perfected the art of the monolith, creating the obelisk. These towering, 4-sided pillars, tapering to a pyramidion at the top, were more than just decoration. They were sacred needles of stone, believed to channel the very power of the sun god Ra. And the most telling evidence of their incredible ambition lies not in a polished monument standing proudly in a temple complex, but in a colossal failure. In the granite quarries of Aswan, the unfinished obelisk remains eternally attached to the bedrock, a snapshot of a process frozen in time. This single stone is a behemoth. If completed, it would have stood about 137 feet tall and weighed an almost incomprehensible 1,200 tons. The first staggering challenge was simply getting it out of the ground. Workers using only stone tools, primarily balls of dolerite, a stone harder than granite, would have had to pound away at the rock along a predetermined trench. This was not a matter of days or weeks, but likely years of constant, grueling labor by teams of workers. The unfinished obelisk shows us the method clearly, with the trench carved around it and the space beneath it partially excavated. But the scale is what defies belief. The logistical planning, the coordination of a massive workforce, and the sheer patience required for such an undertaking with such basic tools is a profound puzzle in itself. But the mystery only deepens once the stone was free. How did they achieve such flawlessly smooth, flat surfaces and near-perfect edges on a block of that size? The final polishing process, which would have given the obelisk its gleaming, mirror-like finish, involved grinding the surface with progressively finer abrasives like sand. To do this evenly across a surface hundreds of feet long without creating dips or waves requires a level of precision that seems almost impossible without advanced guiding tools or techniques that we have no record of. Then came the even greater trials of logistics. Transporting a 1,200-ton needle of stone down the Nile River was a feat of naval engineering we can barely imagine. Historians theorize about enormous, specially built barges, but the sheer weight would have made any vessel unstable and prone to sinking. The process of loading and unloading such a cargo without cranes is another complete mystery. And finally, the erection. How do you stand an object that weighs as much as 200 elephants upright and place it precisely onto a pedestal without it snapping under its own weight or crashing to the ground? The Egyptians did this repeatedly, and we are left with only fragments of clues such as ramps and sand pits that hint at a process of incredible cleverness and risk. The obelisks that stand in Egypt and those that were later moved to Rome and Paris are not just beautiful artifacts. They are permanent questions carved in red granite, challenging our modern assumptions about the limits of ancient engineering. From the singular, towering ambition of the Egyptian obelisks, we now turn our gaze to a mystery written on an entirely different scale, sprawling across the vast, open canvas of the Peruvian desert. Here, the Nazca people created something not of immense height, but of breathtaking breadth. Between 500 years before the Common Era and 500 years after, they transformed the arid plains into a colossal art gallery, etching geoglyphs so enormous they can only be truly appreciated from the sky. We are not looking at stacked stones, but at lines scratched into the dark surface of the desert floor, revealing the lighter soil underneath. These are not small drawings. They form precise geometric shapes, trapezoids and triangles that run for kilometers in perfectly straight lines, alongside intricate figures of a spider, a hummingbird, a monkey, and a condor with a wingspan that stretches over 400 feet. The central mystery here is one of perspective and precision. How did the Nazca, without the ability to fly, design and execute these massive figures with such accurate proportions? If you have ever tried to draw a large circle on a beach by walking around, you know how easily the shape can become distorted. Now imagine doing that across miles of uneven, rocky terrain, ensuring that the tail of a monkey curves perfectly and the legs of a spider are symmetrical. One prevailing theory suggests they could have used a system of stakes and ropes to create scaled-up versions of smaller designs. They might have first created a master model on a smaller scale, and then used a grid system to transcribe it onto the desert landscape. This would require an advanced understanding of mathematics and geometry to maintain the proportions perfectly over such great distances. Yet, even with this method, the challenge of maintaining a straight line across rolling hills and valleys without modern laser levels or theodolites is immense. Some researchers propose they used simple but effective surveying tools, like sighting poles aligned with the horizon or celestial bodies, to achieve those arrow-straight paths that run for miles without deviation. Another layer to the puzzle is preservation. The Nazca Desert is one of the driest places on Earth with minimal rainfall, which has helped protect the lines. But the real secret to their longevity lies in the unique composition of the ground itself. The surface is covered with a layer of dark, iron oxide-coated stones. By removing these stones, the Nazca exposed the lighter, sandy soil beneath. This created a color contrast, but it also had a stabilizing effect. The exposed layer hardened over time, and the surrounding dark stones act as a barrier, protecting the lines from being scoured away by the wind. This demonstrates a deep, intimate knowledge of their local environment, turning the desert's own nature into a protective coating for their artwork. The purpose of these lines remains a subject of fierce debate. Were they astronomical calendars, pathways for ceremonial processions, or offerings to gods they believed resided in the sky? While we may never know their true intention for certain, the method of their creation stands as a testament to a different kind of genius. It was not about moving mountains of stone, but about mastering perspective, scale, and the very earth itself to leave a message so vast it could only be read by the heavens. From the sprawling desert canvas of Nazca, we leap forward in time to a much more personal and intimate mystery, one carved from the soft limestone of Florida in the early 20th century. Here, a single man, an eccentric Latvian immigrant named Edward Līdzkalnis, accomplished what entire ancient cultures are celebrated for. Working mostly alone and often under the cover of darkness, he single-handedly quarried, shaped, and moved over 1,100 tons of rock to build his enigmatic monument, which he called Rock Gate Park, though the world knows it as the Coral Castle. It stands as a testament to one individual's sheer determination and a secret he vowed never to share. Līdzkalnis was a slight man, standing just 5 feet tall and weighing barely 100 pounds, yet he maneuvered massive blocks of oolite limestone that dwarfed him. He crafted a towering obelisk, a precise sundial, rocking chairs carved from single stones, and a 9-ton gate that is perhaps the structure's most famous feature. This massive stone door is so perfectly balanced on a simple metal rod and bearings that a child could push it open with a single finger. It rotated smoothly for decades, and when it eventually settled and stuck in the 1980s, a team of engineers with a 20-ton crane struggled to remove it and repair the mechanism. They found the center of gravity had been calculated with impossible precision, a feat of physics that modern experts struggle to replicate even with advanced tools and computer modeling. He claimed to have discovered the secrets that the ancient builders of the pyramids used, and he often hinted that he understood the fundamental principles of magnetism and weight. He would say he knew how the Egyptians lifted their stones, but he would never say how. His methods were shrouded in secrecy. Witnesses reported seeing him work, but they could never quite explain what they saw. Some said he would place his hands on the stones and hum. Others claimed he arranged metal objects in specific patterns around a block before moving it. When asked directly how he managed such Herculean tasks, his cryptic reply was always the same. He said he understood the laws of weight and leverage. The theories attempting to unravel his secret are as numerous as they are fascinating. Some propose he rediscovered an ancient form of anti-gravity, or a way to neutralize the mass of an object, making it virtually weightless. Others suggest he used powerful electromagnetic principles, a notion fueled by his numerous writings on magnetism and the fact that he built his own experimental electrical generator. More conventional explanations posit that he was simply a brilliant, if unorthodox, engineer who used cleverly concealed block and tackle systems, tripods, and levers in ways that were deceptively simple. He may have used the local geology to his advantage, prying stones from the bedrock in clever ways and moving them on old truck axles. Yet, even these practical theories struggle to account for the sheer speed and solitary nature of his work, or the fact that he left behind no blueprints, no tool marks that fully explain the process, and no apprentice to carry on his knowledge. The Coral Castle is a unique bridge in our journey. It is not an ancient ruin separated from us by millennia, but a modern puzzle, a personal project completed within living memory. Its existence challenges the very notion that such megalithic construction must belong to a distant, unreachable past. It suggests that the gap between our modern understanding and the capabilities of ancient builders might not be as wide as we think, that the secret may not lie in lost super technology, but in a profound and forgotten understanding of natural forces and simple mechanics. Edward Leedskalnin took his secrets to his grave, leaving behind a stone garden that continues to baffle scientists and inspire dreamers, a permanent question mark carved in rock. From the solitary struggle of one man in Florida, we journey to one of the most remote places on Earth, where an entire society undertook a project of almost unimaginable scale. Rising from the green slopes of a volcanic island, nearly 1,000 stone giants stand in silent vigil. These are the Moai of Rapa Nui, Easter Island, and they are far more than just heads. Carved from compressed volcanic ash between the years 1250 and 1500, these monolithic figures are actually full body statues, most of them buried up to their shoulders, which creates the famous head-like appearance. The tallest of them, named Paro, stands over 30 feet high and weighs a staggering 82 tons. The mystery of their creation is profound, but the greater enigma, the one that has captivated explorers and archaeologists for centuries, is how they were moved. Consider the landscape. Easter Island is an isolated speck in the vast Pacific Ocean, its terrain a rugged mix of soft hills, extinct volcanoes, and rocky ground. The Moai were quarried from a single location, the crater of the volcano Ronororaku. From there, they were transported miles across the island to various ceremonial platforms called ahu along the coastline. This was not a task for a large workforce with advanced machinery. Historians estimate the population at its peak was only in the thousands. They had no wheels, no draft animals, no metal tools. They had only stone, rope, wood, and human ingenuity. The most visually striking theory proposed in recent years is that the Moai were walked into place. This idea suggests that the statues, already upright, were not dragged horizontally but were instead rocked from side to side, carefully walked forward by teams using ropes. A few small-scale experiments have shown this is mechanically possible, with teams successfully walking a concrete replica Moai, but the risks are enormous. A single misstep, a snapped rope, or an uneven patch of ground could send a multi-ton statue crashing down, potentially shattering it and endangering the lives of the movers. For a society with limited resources, such a catastrophic loss would have been devastating, making this a high-stakes, high-risk method of transportation. Other, more traditional theories propose various forms of sleds or rollers, using log rails to slide the statues along. Yet the island's famous deforestation presents its own puzzle. If they used vast quantities of logs as rollers, what role did the clearing of the palm forests play in this story? Was the resource depleted for this very purpose, or was it a consequence of other factors? This intertwines the architectural mystery with an ecological one, a poignant reminder of the complex relationship between a people and their environment. Ultimately, the true method may remain hidden. What these silent giants truly represent is not a singular secret of movement, but something even more impressive: the extraordinary social organization and unwavering will of the Rapa Nui people. To coordinate the carving, transportation, and erection of nearly 1,000 statues across generations required a sophisticated and highly motivated society. Their achievement is a powerful testament to what a community can accomplish with a shared vision, pushing the limits of their environment and their own physical capabilities to create an enduring legacy that continues to awe the world. Leaving the open air of Easter Island behind, we now descend deep beneath the earth into a world of shadows and echoes. On the Mediterranean island of Malta lies one of Antiquity's most enigmatic creations, not built upward toward the sky, but carved downward into the living rock. This is the Hypogeum of Saflieni, a vast, multi-level subterranean sanctuary hewn from solid limestone over 5,000 years ago, around the period of 3,300 to 3,000 before the Common Era. To step inside is to enter a realm that feels both ancient and otherworldly. This is not a single chamber, but an intricate, three-story labyrinth of interconnecting halls, alcoves, and passages, all meticulously excavated by hand. What immediately strikes a visitor beyond the sheer scale of the excavation is the breathtaking precision of the work. The walls are smooth and expertly finished. The doorways and openings are perfectly squared, and many of the chambers are designed to mirror the above-ground megalithic temples found elsewhere on Malta. This was no crude cave. It was a planned, sacred architecture executed with incredible skill. The builders used only simple tools made of stone, bone, and wood, yet they achieved a level of finish that would be challenging even today. How they managed to illuminate these deep, windowless spaces to perform such delicate work, and how they removed the immense volume of spoil without leaving a trace, are questions that archaeologists still grapple with. But the Hypogeum holds an even more fascinating secret, one that is not seen but heard. Within the complex lies a chamber now known as the Oracle Room. When someone speaks in this particular chamber, their voice does something remarkable. It resonates, vibrating through the stone with a deep, echoic quality that seems to fill the entire structure. Low-frequency sounds are amplified, creating an effect that is both powerful and unsettling. This is not a random acoustic fluke. Research suggests the chamber was specifically carved to produce these effects, intentionally engineered to manipulate sound. This mastery of acoustics points to a sophisticated, and to us, unexpected, understanding of sound waves and resonance. It implies that the Hypogeum's creators were not just master stone workers, but also pioneers of what we might call architectural acoustics. They understood how to shape stone to shape sound, likely using this knowledge to enhance rituals and ceremonies, making the spoken word or perhaps chants carry a perceived supernatural power. This site forces us to expand our view of ancient ingenuity. It shows us that their lost techniques were not merely about moving massive weight or achieving perfect alignment, but also about harnessing intangible forces, creating experiences within a space that resonate just as powerfully millennia later. But if the Hypogeum demonstrates a mastery of carving inward, our next mystery showcases a staggering feat of moving weight outward on an almost incomprehensible scale. In the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon stand the ruins of the Roman temple complex of Baalbek, a site renowned for its grandeur. Yet the true marvel here lies not in the impressive Roman columns that crown the structure, but in the colossal foundation upon which they rest. Here, embedded in the western wall, is the famed Trilithon, a trio of monstrous limestone blocks. Each one of these stones is a behemoth in its own right, measuring roughly 64 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet wide, with a weight that experts estimate to be around 800 tons apiece. To put that into perspective, that is the equivalent of 2 fully loaded jumbo jets or 3 average blue whales for every single stone, and they are not simply dumped in a pile. They are perfectly dressed, precisely leveled, and fitted together so seamlessly that they form the most solid foundation imaginable. The mystery deepens just a short distance from the main temple in the ancient quarry. Here lies the stone of the pregnant woman, a single block of limestone that was never transported to the site. It remains partially attached to the bedrock, a monument to ambition frozen in time. And its dimensions are utterly mind-boggling. It is estimated to weigh over 1,000 tons, making it one of the largest single stones ever quarried by human hands in antiquity. The logistical challenges this presents are staggering. How do you even begin to extract a 1,000-ton block from solid rock using ancient tools? How do you then move it a full kilometer from the quarry to the construction site? And finally, how do you lift these stones, each one the size of a small apartment building, and position them with pinpoint accuracy nearly 20 feet off the ground into a waiting wall? The Romans, master engineers that they were, are traditionally credited with building the temples at Baalbek, and while they certainly constructed the magnificent structures above, many researchers now question whether they were truly the original architects of the gargantuan foundation below. The precision and scale of the Trilithon's masonry are unlike typical Roman construction, which favored smaller, more manageable blocks. This has led to a compelling theory that the massive platform is actually far older, a pre-Roman megalithic construction of unknown origin. The Romans may have simply found this incredible, ready-made foundation and built their own temples on top of it, perhaps in awe of the same engineering prowess that leaves us baffled today. This suggests a lost civilization, one that possessed lifting and transporting capabilities so advanced that they defy any conventional explanation we can apply to that era. The stones of Baalbek stand as a silent, overwhelming challenge to our understanding of ancient technology, forcing us to wonder what forgotten methods could possibly account for moving mountains 1,000 tons at a time. From the overwhelming weight of Baalbek stones, our journey now takes us into the deep, to a mystery shrouded not in earth but in water. Just off the southern coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, beneath the clear blue waves of the Pacific, lies a site that seems to defy natural explanation. Discovered by a diver in the 1980s, the Yonaguni Monument is a massive, solitary sandstone formation rising from the seafloor. Its most striking features are its stark, geometric appearances. It presents a series of immense flat terraces with sharp 90-degree angles, perfectly straight edges that run for meters, and what look unmistakably like giant steps ascending one side. There are 2 large, upright megaliths that appear placed with purpose, and even what some researchers identify as a processional staircase and a carved triangular opening. The central debate surrounding Yonaguni is a profound one. Is this a completely natural structure, shaped over millennia by the powerful tidal currents and seismic activity common in the region? Or are we looking at the ruins of a vast, ancient, and completely unknown monumental complex? If these formations are indeed natural, they represent a breathtaking geological coincidence, a perfect storm of erosion that created an artificial-looking masterpiece. But if they are even partially artificial, the implications are staggering. To be man-made, this structure would have had to be carved from the bedrock when this area was above water, a time when sea levels were dramatically lower. This pushes its potential construction date back to the end of the last ice age, over 10,000 years ago. Consider what that means for our understanding of human history. Mainstream archaeology tells us that around this time, humanity was in the Neolithic period, just beginning to experiment with agriculture and living in small, mobile groups. The idea of a culture sophisticated enough to plan, quarry, and execute such a large-scale rock-cut project would completely upend that timeline. The technical challenges alone are immense. How would they have quarried such massive sections of rock? What tools could they possibly have used to achieve such clean, sharp lines on such a hard stone? And if this site is real, who were these people? It suggests a previously unknown seafaring civilization with advanced architectural knowledge, a culture that flourished and then vanished beneath the rising seas, leaving only this enigmatic, sunken puzzle as a clue to their existence. From the deep-sea mystery of Yonaguni, we now journey to the coast of France, to a landscape utterly transformed by human hands in a way that is both vast and deeply puzzling. Picture the countryside of Brittany not with rolling fields but with an army of stone. Thousands upon thousands of granite monoliths stand in eerily straight lines, stretching farther than the eye can see across the moors. This is the Carnac alignments, one of the most dense and perplexing collections of megaliths on the planet. Erected over 6,000 years ago by Neolithic communities, this is not a single monument but a colossal project, a statement written in stone across 4 kilometers of terrain. We are left to wonder what incredible impulse drove these early people to undertake such a staggering endeavor. These were not city dwellers with a centralized government and specialized labor force. These were farmers, herders, people living in small villages whose daily lives were tied to the seasons and the soil. Yet they somehow organized to quarry, move, and raise an estimated 3,000 stones, the largest of which stand over 4 meters tall and weigh more than 20 tons. Imagine the sheer manpower required. Without wheels, without draft animals strong enough for such loads, the logistics become a puzzle. Did they use wooden sledges greased with animal fat, rolling over logs? Did they wait for winter, dragging the massive menhirs over frozen ground or flooded fields to reduce friction? The methods remain educated guesses, as no clear archaeological evidence has settled the debate. Beyond the how lies the even more profound question of why. What was the purpose of this immense investment of time and communal energy? The alignments are not random. Many of the rows are precisely oriented, and the entire complex seems to be a gigantic astronomical observatory, potentially marking the movements of the sun and moon. It might have been a sacred space for rituals connected to the cosmos and the earth, a physical calendar for an agricultural society, or even a territorial marker for a powerful tribe. Some more speculative theories suggest the standing stones could have acoustic properties or mark telluric energy lines in the earth. The true purpose is a secret held tightly by the stones themselves, a silent language we have not yet learned to decipher. What the Carnac stones undeniably represent is a level of social organization and shared purpose that we rarely attribute to Neolithic cultures. Coordinating the labor for a project of this scale implies a powerful belief system, sophisticated leadership, and a knowledge of engineering and astronomy that was passed down through generations. It shows us that our ancient ancestors were not just surviving, they were organizing their world on a grand, conceptual scale, manipulating their environment to reflect their beliefs and their understanding of the universe. They left behind not just tombs or temples, but an entire landscape rearranged with purpose, a mystery that challenges our perception of prehistoric life and its capabilities. We now go from a landscape covered in standing stones to an entire world built beneath the ground. Far below the fantastical, wind-carved rock spires of Cappadocia in Turkey lies a hidden kingdom, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers so vast it could shelter an entire population. This is the Derinkuyu underground city, an engineering marvel that descends 18 stories deep into the earth. This was not a simple cave or a single shelter. It was a complete, self-sufficient city, carved from the relatively soft volcanic tuff rock that defines the region. Its construction is traditionally attributed to early Christians, perhaps as early as the 7th or 8th centuries, who needed a refuge from invading armies and religious persecution. But the sheer scale of the place suggests its origins might be even older, with some sections potentially begun by earlier peoples like the Phrygians or Hittites, and then expanded over centuries. Imagine the planning required to envision such a space. This was not a haphazard digging project. It was a meticulously planned subterranean metropolis designed to support up to 20,000 people for extended periods, complete with everything needed for survival. The logistical challenges are almost beyond comprehension. First, there was the excavation itself. How did they carve out such an enormous volume of rock, chamber after chamber, tunnel after tunnel, with only simple hand tools like stone hammers, metal picks, and shovels? The amount of material removed would have been staggering, and the question of what they did with all that rubble remains. Did they secretly disperse it across the surrounding valleys, hiding the evidence of their enormous project from the world above? Then there was the matter of structural integrity. Carving a multi-level city requires an innate understanding of load-bearing walls and pillars to prevent catastrophic collapse. The builders left behind massive, circular stone doors, weighing half a ton each, that could be rolled across critical tunnel entrances to seal off sections from the outside world or any intruders who might find their way in. But perhaps the most brilliant feat was managing the environment. How do you provide fresh air to thousands of people living deep underground? The builders engineered a network of over 50 sophisticated ventilation shafts, some stretching all the way to the surface, which provided a constant flow of oxygen and carried away the damp, stale air. They also dug deep wells, tapping into the water table to provide a fresh supply that was safe from being poisoned by any attackers above ground. They even had areas dedicated for livestock, with stables carved into the rock, ensuring a supply of food and warmth. The city featured churches, wineries, kitchens, and communal spaces, creating a complete society in the absolute darkness beneath the earth. The psychological strength required to live here is another layer of the mystery. This was a life of shadows, of cramped quarters, of constant vigilance, a stark contrast to the sun-drenched world above. The builders not only mastered the physical engineering of stone and space, but also the human engineering of creating a habitable, functional world where a community could endure, protected and hidden for generations. It stands as a breathtaking monument to human resilience and ingenuity, a secret city whose full construction techniques and complete history remain one of Antiquity's most profound and hidden puzzles. Imagine a farmer in rural China in the early 1990s deciding to pump water from what he believes is a small, shallow pond. As the water level drops, he does not find a muddy bottom. Instead, he is met with the staggering sight of an enormous hand-carved cavern, a monumental space that had been hidden from the world for centuries. This was the stunning discovery of the Longyou caves, a network of at least 24 artificial grottos covering a vast underground area. Unlike natural caves with their random, organic shapes, these chambers are breathtakingly precise. The walls, ceilings, and massive support pillars are all carved with an astonishing uniformity, covered in parallel chisel marks that sweep across the stone in decorative, rhythmic patterns. The sheer volume of rock removed to create this complex is almost impossible to visualize. Experts estimate that the builders excavated nearly 1 million cubic meters of solid sandstone. To put that into perspective, that is enough material to fill over 300 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Every single piece of that rock was manually quarried and carried away, an undertaking of staggering physical labor. Yet the true mystery is not just the amount of work, but the incredible precision with which it was done. The ceilings are perfectly flat and slanted at a consistent angle. The walls meet at sharp, clean corners. The massive pillars, strategically placed to hold up the immense weight of the rock above, are uniformly shaped and perfectly integrated into the architecture. This is not the work of haphazard digging. It is the work of master planners and highly skilled stonemasons. How did they accomplish this, especially in an era believed to be around 2,000 years ago, a time before advanced machinery? The tools they used are a complete mystery. The consistent, sweeping marks on the walls suggest a specific, repeated technique, but no tools matching that description have ever been found at the site. Even more perplexing is the question of lighting. How did the workers see what they were doing deep within these pitch-black chambers? There are no soot stains from torches on the high ceilings, which rules out simple fire-based lighting on a large scale. Could they have used a sophisticated system of mirrors to channel sunlight deep underground from the surface? We simply do not know, and then there is the puzzle of the debris. What did they do with nearly 1 million cubic meters of rubble? The removal of that amount of stone would have left an unmistakable, enormous mound somewhere nearby, yet no such spoil heap has ever been located. It is as if the waste material vanished without a trace. The silence of history adds another profound layer to the enigma. Despite the monumental scale of this project, there is not a single written record, not a single ancient text, nor any local legend that mentions the construction of the Longyou caves. Who commissioned this vast undertaking, and for what purpose? Were they secret quarries, hidden imperial tombs, or perhaps a sacred space for rituals that was meant to be forgotten? The precision and the decorative chiseling suggest a purpose far grander than mere utilitarian mining. Each unanswered question transforms these silent, majestic halls from simple caves into one of the world's greatest architectural riddles, a testament to a lost chapter of human ambition and skill whose secrets remain locked in the stone. Now we travel from the vast, hidden chambers of China to the sun-drenched river deltas of Central America, where an entirely different kind of mystery sits silently in the grass. Scattered across the Diquis Delta of Costa Rica are hundreds of stone spheres, some nearly perfect in their geometry. Ranging from the size of a bowling ball to colossal orbs over 2 meters in diameter and weighing more than 15 tons, these spheres present a puzzle that is deceptively simple yet profoundly complex. The material itself is a huge part of the mystery. The spheres were carved from gabbro, a hard, dense, igneous rock that is incredibly difficult to shape. It is the same type of rock that modern countertops are made from, known for its toughness. The ancient artisans who created these spheres did so without the benefit of metal tools. They had only stone hammers and other stones for grinding. The prevailing theory is that they used a technique called hammer pecking and grinding. They would have heated the surface of a large boulder with fire, then spalled off pieces by rapidly cooling it with water. Once a rough shape was achieved, the meticulous, generations-long process of pecking at the surface with a harder stone and then grinding it smooth with sand and water would begin. But the theory quickly runs into practical problems when we consider the precision achieved. How does one, using only primitive tools, ensure a sphere is perfectly round across its entire surface? How do you maintain that perfect symmetry on a stone the size of a small car? Some of the largest spheres have been measured and found to have a precision of within 2 millimeters of a perfect sphere. This is a level of accuracy that seems to transcend the suggested methods. It implies the use of unknown techniques, perhaps sophisticated measuring devices or templates that have been lost to time. Did they have a way to suspend the sphere and rotate it, checking for high spots? The process remains one of archaeology's most captivating what-if scenarios. The purpose of these spheres is an equally baffling question. Many were found arranged in patterns, often in groups near the dwellings of chiefs, leading to theories that they were status symbols, markers of power and wealth. Others were found aligned in patterns that suggest astronomical significance, perhaps pointing to celestial events or acting as a kind of calendar. Tragically, many spheres were dynamited in the 1930s by local workers who believed, much like the gold-hungry conquistadors before them, that the spheres must contain hidden treasure. This destruction obliterated their original arrangements forever, making it nearly impossible to decode their true purpose with certainty. They stand now, these silent, enigmatic orbs, as a testament to a pre-Columbian culture whose artistic vision and technical skill we are only beginning to appreciate. They represent a unique convergence of art, astronomy, and social hierarchy, all achieved with a stubborn, difficult material and a seemingly impossible standard of perfection. Their quiet presence in the Costa Rican landscape continues to challenge our assumptions about the capabilities of ancient societies in the Americas. The sheer ambition of the Sun Temple of Carnac is enough to take your breath away. Rising from the eastern coast of India, this 13th-century marvel is not merely a building but a monumental sculpture conceived on a truly epic scale. It was designed as the celestial chariot of the sun god Surya, pulled by 7 mighty stone horses and rolling on 24 enormous, intricately carved wheels, each standing over 3 meters high. The entire structure was a symphony in stone, a tribute to the power of the cosmos made tangible on Earth. But this grand vision hides a puzzle that has captivated engineers and historians for centuries. How did its builders manage to assemble such colossal and complex stone components with the tools and knowledge of their time? The temple earned its nickname, the Black Pagoda, from European sailors who used its dark, towering spire as a navigational landmark. Its construction is attributed to King Narasimhadeva I of the Eastern Ganga dynasty, a ruler who clearly dreamed in magnitudes that defy easy explanation. The main sanctum, or Vimana, originally soared to a height rivaling many modern skyscrapers, though it tragically collapsed centuries ago. What remains is the audience hall, a structure so massive and ornate it alone constitutes one of the most impressive archaeological sites in the world. The primary building material was condylite, a type of rock that is notoriously difficult to carve with fine detail. Yet the surfaces of Carnac are covered with breathtakingly intricate sculptures depicting deities, mythical creatures, and scenes from everyday life. This leads us to the central mystery of its construction. The stones used are immense, and the interlocking methods employed are incredibly sophisticated. But the most perplexing aspect is the legend surrounding the main shrine. Stories passed down through generations claim that the pinnacle of the temple once held a massive, powerful magnet. This magnet, the legend says, was so strong that it caused the main idol within the sanctum to levitate mid-air. While this specific tale of magnetic levitation is almost certainly a metaphorical expression of the temple's spiritual power, it points to a deeper, more plausible technological wonder. Historians and archaeologists have long speculated that the builders may have used large iron beams within the structure. The collapse of the main tower has been attributed by some to the weakening of these beams over centuries as they rusted, destabilizing the entire edifice. This theory of iron reinforcements suggests a level of architectural engineering that we do not typically associate with the 13th century. It implies a sophisticated understanding of structural integrity, of using metal to reinforce stone on a grand scale. The precise method of hoisting these heavy stone blocks, some weighing many tons, into place to form the delicate, spired roof of the chariot remains a subject of intense debate. Did they use massive earthen ramps that were later removed, or did they possess a system of pulleys and counterweights that has been lost to history? The sheer logistical challenge of coordinating such a project, involving thousands of artisans and laborers, is a marvel of organization in itself. Beyond the physical construction, the temple is a masterpiece of alignment and acoustics. The entire chariot is oriented with such precision that the first rays of the rising sun would illuminate the main entrance, bathing the interior deity in a dramatic celestial light. Furthermore, the design of the hall creates unique acoustic properties. Certain sounds made within the structure are amplified and channeled in ways that suggest the architects had a profound, intuitive understanding of sound waves. They were not just building a structure, they were engineering an experience, manipulating light and sound to create an atmosphere of awe and divinity. The Sun Temple of Carnac, therefore, is more than a ruined monument. It is a testament to a culture that merged artistic genius with scientific inquiry, leaving behind a puzzle wrapped in stone, whose deepest building secrets have yet to be fully unraveled. To truly grasp the revolutionary nature of Göbekli Tepe, we must first rewind our mental clocks to a period most textbooks describe as primitive. Imagine a world around 9,600 years before the Common Era. This is not an age of cities or empires. It is a time when humanity lived in small, mobile bands, surviving by hunting wild animals and gathering edible plants. The concept of farming, of settling down to cultivate crops and domesticate animals, was only just beginning to flicker into existence in a few places. Conventional wisdom has long held that it was the invention of agriculture that gave humans the surplus food, the stable communities, and the hierarchical social structures necessary to embark on grand projects like temple building. Göbekli Tepe shatters that narrative completely. Here, on a barren hilltop in modern-day Turkey, hunter-gatherers achieved something that, according to everything we thought we knew, should have been impossible. They quarried massive limestone pillars, some weighing as much as 20 tons, from local bedrock. They then transported these colossal T-shaped monoliths for hundreds of meters and erected them into great circular enclosures. The scale of the labor involved is staggering. This was not the work of a few families. It would have required the coordinated effort of hundreds of people, a level of social organization that archaeologists never attributed to pre-agricultural societies. How did they feed such a large workforce without farms to provide a reliable food supply? How did they motivate people who were supposedly focused solely on day-to-day survival to come together for a project that offered no immediate practical benefit? The mystery only deepens when you examine the pillars themselves. These are not crude, unadorned stones. They are masterfully carved, featuring breathtakingly intricate bas-reliefs of animals. Foxes, cranes, scorpions, and snarling predators are rendered with an artistic skill and a symbolic depth that feels incredibly advanced for its time. These carvings are not random decorations. They are a complex symbolic language, a testament to a rich spiritual world and a shared mythology that unified these ancient people. The builders of Göbekli Tepe possessed not just brute strength, but a sophisticated cultural and cognitive capacity. The techniques used in the construction are another layer of the puzzle. Without metal tools, they worked the hard limestone using other stones, likely fashioning flint chisels and pounders. The quarrying process itself would have been a monumental task, involving cutting the pillars free from the bedrock and then shaping them. The transportation method remains a subject of lively debate. Did they use log rollers, even though large trees may have been scarce in the area? Did they employ a system of ropes and leverage, maneuvering the pillars up the slope with a combination of manpower and ingenuity? The precise method is lost to time, but the result is undeniable. Perhaps the most profound implication of Göbekli Tepe is that it forces us to reconsider the very engine of human civilization. For decades, the dominant theory was that agriculture came first, creating the conditions for complex society. Göbekli Tepe suggests the reverse may be true. It is possible that the impulse to gather for ritual purposes, to build something grander than themselves, is what first brought hunter-gatherers together in large, organized groups. This need for a permanent ceremonial center may have then created the necessity for a stable food supply, inadvertently spurring the very development of agriculture in the surrounding region. This site does not just challenge our understanding of ancient engineering, it challenges the foundational story of who we are and how our world began. It stands as a silent, stone sentinel testifying to a forgotten chapter of human ambition, one that rewrites history from the ground up. 17th on our journey into the architectural unknown takes us to a breathtaking wonder of devotion and engineering, the Ajanta Caves in India. Carved into the face of a towering, horseshoe-shaped cliff of solid volcanic basalt, this complex of 30 monasteries and worship halls represents a miraculous feat of reverse creation. Unlike a structure built upward from a foundation, these sacred spaces were painstakingly excavated downward, their entire form hewn from the living rock over centuries, beginning in the 2nd century before the Common Era. Imagine the audacious planning this required. Teams of artisans, working without detailed blueprints or modern measuring devices, had to envision the complete, magnificent interior of a temple, its pillared halls, its vaulted ceilings, its statues of the Buddha, and then carefully, miraculously, remove everything that was not the temple. A single miscalculation in the thickness of a wall or the height of a ceiling could have meant collapse, wasting generations of labor. The precision is astounding. Pillars were left standing as they dug downward, their surfaces later smoothed and carved with intricate designs. Expansive, curved ceilings were shaped to perfection, all by hand, in the relentless dark of the stone interior. Adding to the profound mystery are the methods used for the cave's famous artwork. The walls and ceilings are adorned with some of the most ancient and beautiful frescoes known to humanity, depicting the life of the Buddha and countless other spiritual tales. The process for creating these vibrant paintings, which have retained their luminosity for over 2,000 years, is a technique we can only partially reconstruct. Artists first created a rough plaster from clay, hay, and animal hair, applying it to the rugged rock walls. Then came a finer layer of lime plaster. While this surface was still wet, they began to paint, a technique known as fresco that binds the pigment permanently to the wall. But the specific minerals and plant extracts used to create their vivid palette of reds, blues, greens, and golds, and the exact application process that gave the paintings such enduring life, are secrets that have faded with the artisans themselves. The entire endeavor forces us to ask not just how they did it, but how they saw their work, illuminated only by the faint, flickering light of oil lamps and torches. These artists achieved a level of detail and expression that would be challenging even with the brightest modern lighting, creating a timeless spiritual sanctuary from the heart of a mountain. From the deep, artistic darkness of India's Ajanta caves, We travel now to the sun-scorched highlands of Ethiopia, where faith and stone intertwine in one of the most visually arresting architectural marvels on Earth. Here in the 12th century, a devout king named Lalibela envisioned a new Jerusalem, a holy site of pilgrimage for those who could not make the long and dangerous journey to the original. His divine inspiration gave birth to a complex of 11 churches, but these were not built in any conventional way. They were not assembled from quarried blocks. Instead, each one was painstakingly, miraculously, carved directly downward into the volcanic rock of the mountainside. Imagine standing at ground level and ordering your workers to dig, not for a foundation, but for an entire cathedral, with every column, every arch, every window, and every door already existing in the mind of the architect, waiting to be revealed by the removal of everything that was not the church. The most iconic of these is the Church of St. George or Bet Georges. From above, it is a perfect Greek cross, a stark and magnificent geometric shape sunk into a deep, square trench. The sheer sides of the trench plunge over 30 feet down, isolating the church as a standalone monolith, a single piece of solid rock that has been sculpted into a place of worship. The engineering challenge here is almost beyond comprehension. Workers began at the top, carving downward to define the outer walls and roof. Then, with immense care, they began the even more delicate process of hollowing out the interior, creating a nave, aisles, and ceremonial spaces, all while leaving supporting columns and arches in place. One misjudgment in the thickness of a wall, one over-enthusiastic strike of the tool, and the entire structure could have been compromised. Adding to the mystery is the sophisticated network of drainage channels and ceremonial tunnels that connect several of the churches, a subterranean labyrinth that required an advanced understanding of hydrology and structural engineering to prevent erosion or collapse in the soft rock. The methods used, the specific tools employed, and the sheer orchestration of labor to complete such a monumental task in a single king's lifetime remain a subject of intense awe and debate, a testament to a faith so powerful it literally moved mountains. Perched on the rugged cliffs of Malta's southern coast, overlooking the endless blue of the Mediterranean, stand the Hypogeum and Najdra temple complexes. These are not just ancient ruins, they are portals to a time over 5,000 years ago, a period so remote that they predate the Great Pyramid of Giza by a full millennium and Stonehenge by centuries. Constructed from massive, honey-colored blocks of coralline limestone, these structures represent a puzzle that begins with the very first stone. The builders of these temples worked with slabs so enormous that their mere movement defies easy explanation. One stone at Hypogeum, for instance, is a colossal monolith measuring nearly 7 meters in length and weighing an estimated 20 tons. To comprehend this, picture a fully loaded garbage truck, and then imagine a society with only stone tools, wooden rollers, and sheer human muscle power, moving that weight across the rocky Maltese landscape and positioning it with exacting care. The mystery deepens when you consider the architectural sophistication on display. The temples are not simple piles of rock. They feature sophisticated features like concave facades, altars, and a series of interconnected, oval-shaped chambers. The precision with which these massive blocks were fitted together without the use of mortar suggests a masterful understanding of stoneworking and structural engineering. But the true genius of Hypogeum and Najdra is written in the sunlight. These structures are arguably the world's oldest known astronomical observatories. The southern temple at Najdra is a masterpiece of celestial alignment. On the spring and autumn equinoxes, the first rays of the rising sun slice perfectly through the main doorway, illuminating the central corridor. During the summer and winter solstices, the sunlight strikes specific edges of stone slabs and doorways, casting precise beams of light into the deepest chambers. This is not a coincidence. This level of astronomical precision required generations of meticulous observation and a profound understanding of the solar cycle. Who were these people, and what was the purpose of such an incredible undertaking? The culture that built these temples left no written records. We know them only through the artifacts they left behind, intricate pottery and the famous corpulent figurines, the so-called fat ladies, which may represent deities of fertility or Mother Earth. The temples themselves were likely centers of ritual and community, places where the rhythms of the heavens were intimately connected to the cycles of planting and harvest, of life and death. The effort required to build them speaks of a highly organized, spiritually motivated society capable of uniting for a common, monumental goal. Yet, the specific techniques they used to quarry, transport, and erect these megaliths, and the deep knowledge of astronomy they possessed, remain largely a silent testament to a sophisticated culture whose secrets are locked within the stone. Far from the Mediterranean shores, on the high plains of the Andes, stands another monument that echoes the astronomical genius of Malta. At an altitude that leaves most visitors breathless, 12,800 feet above sea level, the Tiwanaku culture erected a structure that is as enigmatic as it is beautiful, the Gate of the Sun. Carved from a single, enormous block of andesite granite, this gateway is a masterpiece of ancient American art and engineering. It stands today, though fractured, on the Colossal platform, a vast ceremonial courtyard aligned with the cardinal directions. The sheer scale of the task to create it is staggering. Andesite is an incredibly hard volcanic stone, difficult to shape even with modern steel tools. Yet the Tiwanaku people, who flourished between 500 and 1000 Common Era, carved this massive slab with a level of precision that seems to defy their technological means. The surface of the gate is a canvas of intricate, low-relief carvings that have captivated and confused researchers for well over a century. At the center is a figure often identified as a deity, possibly a sky god, radiating what appear to be sunbeams or streams of tears. This central figure is surrounded by a procession of 30 winged figures, some with human bodies and condor heads, others appearing more celestial in nature. This is where the true mystery deepens. Many researchers propose that this intricate tableau is not merely decorative, but functions as a sophisticated calendar. The arrangement of the figures, the angles of the beams, and the specific numbers involved are thought to encode a complex understanding of solar and lunar cycles. Some interpretations suggest it could track the solar year, marking equinoxes and solstices, while others believe it might correlate with a lunar calendar or even cycles of the planet Venus. The gate, therefore, may have been more than an entrance. It could have been a sacred astronomical text carved in stone, a device for a priesthood to track time and organize the rituals essential to their society. The questions of how it was made only amplify its mystique. The quarries for this andesite are located many miles away near Lake Titicaca. How did they transport this single, multi-ton block across the rugged Altiplano to this high-altitude site? The Tiwanaku culture did not use the wheel or have draft animals. The common theory involves a combination of log rollers, rope, and immense human labor, but moving such a massive and fragile object without causing damage remains a logistical puzzle. Once on site, the carving process is another enigma. The sharp, clean lines and the precise, repetitive patterns suggest the use of specialized tools beyond simple stone hammers. Some researchers speculate about the use of abrasive sands with harder stones to achieve such fine detail, a painstaking process that would have required incredible skill and patience. The Gate of the Sun stands as a silent witness to a highly advanced culture whose methods for working stone and their profound celestial knowledge continue to challenge our assumptions about pre-Columbian civilizations. Now we travel to the green hills of Ireland, to a monument so ancient it makes the pyramids seem like recent history. The Newgrange Passage tomb was built around 3,200 years before the Common Era, a staggering 5,000 years ago. This makes it older than Stonehenge and even older than the Great Pyramid of Giza. It is not merely a tomb but a colossal feat of engineering, a massive circular mound covering an entire acre of land. The scale of the undertaking is almost incomprehensible. To create this structure, its Neolithic builders moved more than 200,000 tons of stone and earth, a task that would have required a coordinated effort spanning generations. The most breathtaking feature of Newgrange is its profound connection to the cosmos. Above the entrance is a small, carefully crafted opening known as a roof box. For just a few precious minutes at dawn on the winter solstice, and for a handful of days before and after, a narrow beam of sunlight passes directly through this opening. It travels down the 60-foot-long passageway, gradually illuminating the inner chamber in a dramatic display of light and shadow. This was not a chance occurrence. The alignment is too precise, requiring an advanced understanding of the sun's cyclical journey across the sky. Achieving such a perfect orientation with rudimentary tools, likely little more than wooden stakes and simple sighting markers, represents a monumental intellectual achievement. The builders were not just stacking stones, they were encoding their knowledge of the heavens into the very fabric of their most sacred space, perhaps to symbolize the triumph of light over the darkness of the longest night, a powerful symbol of rebirth. Equally mysterious is the tomb's remarkable construction. The passage itself is roofed using a technique called corbelling. This involves stacking flat stones in concentric rings, with each successive layer stepping inward until the space is sealed at the top. It is a self-supporting arch that has defied time itself, remaining completely waterproof for 5 millennia. Not a drop of moisture has seeped through to the inner sanctum. The engineering skill required to calculate the angles and distribute the immense weight of the mound above is extraordinary. The white quartz facade that once glittered in the sunlight was transported from mountains over 50 miles away. How a society of farmers and herders without written language or metal tools conceived of, planned, and executed such a complex and enduring structure is a question that continues to inspire awe and humble modern engineers. Imagine the sheer determination required to move a 50-ton block of stone across a deep valley, up a steep mountain, and then fit it perfectly into a wall without a single drop of mortar. This is the staggering puzzle presented by the fortress of Ollantaytambo, perched high in the Peruvian Andes. The site itself is a masterpiece of Inca urban planning, but its construction is what truly defies logic. The massive red porphyry blocks that form the Sun Temple were not sourced locally. They were quarried from a mountainside on the opposite side of the Urubamba River, a journey involving a descent into the valley, a crossing of the rushing water, and then a grueling ascent up to the fortress site. The logistical challenge of moving these behemoths, some standing over 15 feet tall, is almost unimaginable without modern machinery. The most popular theory suggests the Incas used an army of laborers, dragging the stones on rollers made of logs. But anyone who has visited this rugged terrain knows that theory quickly meets its limits. The path is not flat, it is a steep, uneven landscape. Some researchers propose a system of earthen ramps and inclined planes, built to reduce the angle of ascent. Others speculate about the use of complex lever systems, where hundreds of people would work in concert to inch the stones forward. perhaps even using counterweights to help with the uphill struggle. Yet, even these explanations feel incomplete. How did they manage such precise coordination? How did they prevent the massive stones from cracking or shattering under their own immense weight during the journey? The absence of any written record from the Inca leaves us with only the physical evidence, and that evidence points to a lost art of megalithic transportation. Once the stones arrived at the summit, the second miracle began. The Incas were master stonemasons, and the walls of Ollantaytambo are a perfect example of their signature style. Each stone was painstakingly shaped to interlock with its neighbors, creating a jigsaw puzzle of incredible complexity. The joints are so tight that you cannot slip even the thinnest piece of paper between them. This precision was not merely for show, it was a brilliant engineering solution to a very real problem. Peru is one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. During an earthquake, a rigid wall made of rectangular blocks would shake apart, but an interlocking wall, where each stone is locked in place by the unique shapes around it, can flex and sway with the tremors, settling back into place once the shaking stops. This understanding of dynamic forces, combined with the almost supernatural ability to shape hard stone with simple bronze and stone tools, creates a mystery that continues to captivate and confuse engineers to this day. The fortress stands as a monument not just to a king, but to a civilization that mastered its environment in ways we are still struggling to fully comprehend. Descending into the cool, silent darkness beneath the sands of Saqqara, we find a mystery that challenges everything we think we know about ancient Egyptian toolkits. This is the Serapeum, a sprawling subterranean complex of tunnels and niches that serves as the final resting place for 24 massive granite boxes. To call them coffins feels almost disrespectful to their grandeur. These are monolithic sarcophagi, each one carved from a single, incredibly hard block of Aswan granite. The sheer weight is difficult to grasp. Every box and its matching lid tips the scales at around 70 tons. That is roughly equivalent to 50 modern cars, all condensed into a single, seamless stone vessel. But the weight is only the beginning of the puzzle. The real astonishment lies in the craftsmanship. The surfaces of these enormous boxes are not just smooth, they are flawlessly flat and polished to a degree that resembles modern machine work. If you were to run your hand along the interior, you would feel a surface as consistent as glass. The corners are not merely squared off, they are geometrically perfect, meeting at razor-sharp 90-degree angles. This level of precision, achieved on one of the hardest stones on Earth, is a feat that would be difficult to accomplish today without computer-guided diamond-tipped tools. The ancient Egyptians are known to have used abrasives like quartz sand and techniques of pounding with dolerite balls, but these methods, while effective for shaping, seem almost brutish when compared to the sublime finish seen in the Serapeum. The consistency across all 24 boxes suggests a standardized, repeatable technique, a technology that has left no clear trace in the archaeological record. Then comes the second, equally baffling part of the enigma: logistics. How did they get these behemoths down here? The sarcophagi were not assembled in place from smaller pieces. Each one was a finished product, a 70-ton masterpiece that had to be maneuvered from the surface, down a narrow, sloping access ramp, and into a specific niche within a cramped tunnel system. The corridors are just wide enough to accommodate the boxes with inches to spare on either side. The engineering challenge of moving an object of that weight and size through such a confined space, without the use of wheels or pulleys as we understand them, is a problem that would give a modern project manager nightmares. It would require an astonishing understanding of leverage, counterweights, and friction management. The silence of the tunnels offers no answers, only the imposing presence of the boxes themselves, a silent testament to a skill set that appears from our modern perspective to be almost otherworldly. This profound mastery of material and motion points toward a sophistication in ancient stone working that we are still striving to fully understand. Imagine a well, but a well so vast and intricate that it feels more like a city built into the earth. This is Chand Baori, a monumental stepwell in the arid landscape of Rajasthan, India. Constructed in the 9th century by King Shanda of the Nikumbha dynasty, it is not merely a source of water but a breathtaking architectural statement. The numbers alone are staggering. 3,500 individual steps cascade down 13 stories, plunging over 100 feet into the ground. They are arranged with such perfect symmetry that from above, the entire structure forms a colossal inverted pyramid, a geometric wonder carved directly into the subsurface. The primary function of Chand Baori was pragmatic, a brilliant solution to the region's harsh climate. In an area prone to long droughts, this was a sophisticated water management system designed to conserve every precious drop of rainwater. The steps provided access to the water table as it fluctuated throughout the seasons, allowing people to reach the water level even when it was very low. But it was also so much more than a utility. The stepwell served as a communal gathering place, a cool retreat from the blistering desert heat, and a site for religious ceremonies. Its grandeur was a testament to the king's patronage and the community's ingenuity, a vital public work that blended practicality with profound artistic vision. The engineering challenges, however, are what place Chand Baori firmly among our mysterious architectures. How did 9th century builders plan and execute such a deep and perfectly symmetrical excavation? They had no laser levels, no theodolites, no modern surveying equipment. The precision of the inverted pyramid shape required an advanced understanding of geometry and spatial reasoning. Every step, every terrace had to be meticulously calculated to ensure the entire structure remained stable. The pressure from the surrounding earth is immense at such depths, yet the walls have held firm for over 1,000 years. The builders likely used simple but effective tools like plumb bobs and water levels, along with ropes and stakes for measuring, but the flawless execution suggests a mastery of these basic instruments that we can scarcely imagine today. Another layer of the mystery involves the sheer volume of material that had to be removed. The excavation of so much earth and rock was a monumental undertaking in itself. Historians can only speculate on the methods used to haul the debris up from such a great depth, likely involving complex pulley systems and human chains. The logistics of managing a workforce to achieve this, all while maintaining the precise geometric layout, points to a highly organized society with exceptional project management skills. The silence of the historical record on the specific techniques used only deepens the awe we feel when standing before this colossal inverted pyramid, a silent tribute to the unknown engineers whose legacy is written in stone and step. And so we arrive at our final stop on this journey, a place that needs little introduction, standing silent and majestic on the Salisbury Plain in England. Stonehenge, this iconic circle of towering Sarsen stones, erected around 2,500 years before the Common Era, is perhaps the most famous ancient mystery in the world. While centuries of research have given us a framework for its history, the monument guards its deepest secrets with a stubborn resolve. We know it was built in stages over many generations, a project of immense importance to the Neolithic people who dedicated their lives to its creation. But the how and the why continue to spark debate and inspire wonder. The most immediate puzzle is one of sheer logistics. The largest of these sarsen stones weigh around 25 tons, and geological evidence tells us they were dragged from quarries located 20 miles to the north. Imagine the effort required to move these colossal slabs across the rolling countryside. Theories suggest the use of wooden sledges, rollers made from tree trunks, and a vast workforce pulling with ropes. Some experiments have shown this is possible, but the sheer scale of the operation, coordinating dozens of people to maneuver such heavy weights over such a long distance, reveals a society capable of remarkable communal organization and determination. It was a statement of collective will carved into the landscape, but the mystery only deepens when we look closer. The builders did not simply plunk down rough-hewn rocks. They shaped these gigantic stones with an astonishing level of craftsmanship. Using stone hammers, they painstakingly dressed the sarsens, creating not only smooth surfaces but also sophisticated joints. The horizontal lintel stones that once crowned the towering trilithons were secured using a technique more commonly associated with woodworking. The tops of the upright stones feature rounded tenons, and the lintels have corresponding mortise holes, slotting together to form a stable structure. This shows an advanced understanding of engineering principles, ensuring the monument would endure for millennia. Then there is the celestial alignment, the feature that truly elevates stone, henge from a mere construction to an architectural marvel. The entire circle is precisely oriented towards the sunrise on the summer solstice. On the longest day of the year, the sun rises directly over the heel stone, casting its rays into the heart of the circle. This was no accident. It demonstrates a profound, carefully accumulated knowledge of the movements of the sun and the moon, an astronomical observatory built of stone. The purpose of this alignment remains a subject of lively discussion. Was it a temple for sun worship, a colossal calendar for marking the seasons, or a sacred burial ground connected to the cycles of life and death? Recent archaeological discoveries, including the analysis of cremated remains found on site, suggest it was all these things and more, a multipurpose sacred space that evolved over centuries. Stonehenge, therefore, serves as a perfect conclusion to our list. It encapsulates the core themes we have seen again and again: the incredible transportation of megaliths, the sophisticated stone working techniques that seem to defy the available technology, and the deep integration of astronomical knowledge into architecture. It reminds us that our ancestors were not primitive, but were brilliant engineers, astronomers, and artists. Their legacy is not just a ring of stones, but a permanent question mark challenging our modern assumptions about the past. With every new archaeological survey and technological advance, we peel back another layer, yet the central mystery endures, a testament to the enduring ingenuity of the human spirit. So we have journeyed across the globe and through the millennia, from the sands of Egypt to the highlands of Peru, and a profound pattern begins to emerge from the silent stones. These 25 architectural marvels, though separated by vast oceans and thousands of years, seem to whisper a similar secret. They challenge the very notion that human history is a simple, straight line of progress from primitive to advanced. Instead, they suggest something far more fascinating, a tapestry of knowledge where brilliance flares up, is lost to time, and is perhaps rediscovered centuries later in a different land. Consider the stunning repetition of astronomical precision. The Great Pyramid aligns with celestial bodies with near-perfect accuracy. Newgrange captures the winter solstice sun in a breathtaking display. The temples of Malta and the sprawling Nazca lines are all oriented with the heavens. This is not a series of happy coincidences. It points to a deep and possibly widespread understanding of the cosmos. How did cultures with no known communication with one another each develop such a sophisticated grasp of mathematics and astronomy? Was this knowledge discovered independently each time, or does it hint at a more interconnected ancient world than our history books describe, perhaps through lost trade routes or the slow migration of ideas? Then there is the shared language of megalithic construction itself. Look at the impeccable, mortarless stonework. The jigsaw puzzles of Sacsayhuamán in Peru bear a striking resemblance to the Cyclopean walls of Mycenae in Greece. The technique of corbelling to create stable, towering structures is found in the roofs of Newgrange and the chambers of the Serapeum. The transportation of multi-ton blocks, whether for the Moai of Easter Island or the obelisks of Egypt, suggests that cultures faced similar logistical nightmares and may have arrived at similar ingenious solutions. This hints at universal principles of physics and engineering that were intuitively understood and applied, a lost manual on moving mountains, written not on paper but in stone. This leads us to the most humbling realization of all, the sheer organizational power behind these projects. Göbekli Tepe forces us to reconsider hunter-gatherers as capable of complex social organization. The building of Stonehenge or the Derinkuyu underground city required coordinating hundreds, if not thousands, of workers, feeding them, housing them, and motivating them for generations. This was not the work of a lone genius, but of a unified society with a shared vision and a powerful driving purpose, whether it was religious devotion, astronomical observation, or community survival. Their legacy is not just in the stones they left behind, but in the proof of what humanity can achieve through collective effort and shared knowledge. Ultimately, these ancient wonders stand as monuments to the cyclical nature of knowledge itself. They suggest that advanced understanding is not a permanent state but a flame that can be extinguished by time, disaster, or simply the forgetting of generations. What we consider modern breakthroughs in engineering or astronomy might in fact be rediscoveries of truths that were once common knowledge. This is not to diminish our own achievements, but to add a layer of profound respect for our ancestors. Their work invites us to be humble, to question the assumptions of linear progress, and to look upon our own modern world with the wondering eyes of a future generation that might one day puzzle over how we, too, built our own impossible wonders. From the pyramids to the Moai, these 25 architectural wonders are far more than just piles of stone. They stand as silent testimonials to a depth of human ingenuity that we are still struggling to measure. They whisper to us across the centuries, reminding us that the story of our past is not a simple, straightforward march from primitive to advanced. It is instead a complex and beautiful tapestry, woven with threads of brilliant knowledge that, for reasons we may never fully know, were snipped and lost to time. Each perfectly cut block at Pumapunku and each impossibly balanced stone at Sacsayhuamán is a question mark challenging our modern assumptions. They force us to consider that our ancestors possessed a sophisticated understanding of the world, an understanding that may have been equal to our own in certain, specialized ways, even if it expressed itself through different means. With every passing year, our technology for investigating these mysteries grows more powerful. Ground-penetrating radar reveals hidden chambers we never knew existed. Laser scanning captures the microscopic tool marks on a granite sarcophagus with stunning clarity. Chemical analysis can trace a stone back to its quarry, hundreds of miles away. Yet, for all our advanced tools, the fundamental how and why often remain just out of reach. We can map the astronomical alignment of Newgrange with incredible precision, but we still cannot say for certain what spiritual or practical significance that alignment held for its builders. The real secret these sites guard may not be a single lost technique, but the entire worldview that made such constructions not just possible, but necessary. The true revelation may be that engineering and belief were once inseparable. that a society's deepest understanding of the cosmos was expressed not in equations on a page, but in the majestic, enduring alignment of stone with the sun and stars. This journey through ancient marvels should leave us not with a sense of superiority, but with a profound humility. It is a humility about the limits of our own knowledge and a deep respect for the capabilities of those who came before us. These monuments are a testament to what human communities can achieve when united by a common purpose, a shared vision that transcends individual lifetimes. They challenge the arrogance of the present and invite us to look upon our own modern skylines and wonder. What will remain of our civilization thousands of years from now, and what knowledge that we consider fundamental and permanent might one day fade away, leaving future generations to puzzle over the ruins of our cities, just as we now gaze in wonder at the silent, majestic stones of antiquity. The greatest lesson these structures teach is that human history is not a linear path but a cycle of discovery, loss, and rediscovery. We would love to hear which of these ancient mysteries captured your imagination the most. Was it the sheer scale of the Great Pyramid or the puzzling precision of the Costa Rican stone spheres? Share your thoughts and your own favorite architectural enigma in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the unexplained, please subscribe for more explorations of history's greatest secrets. Thank you for watching.